Welcome back, everybody. I want to talk about why using Adobe Camera Raw and smart objects leading into Photoshop is important. So a quick workflow, we're going to select the image or images we want to work with in Camera Raw after we enter their keywords. You should always have your creator name, where somebody could contact you if they come across your images, and a variety of keywords, which are shown in the metadata, but since I have multiple images selected, it says multiple values. So you can select more than one picture and then choose to open them in Camera Raw up here on the upper left. My Camera Raw box pops up over the top of Adobe Bridge. This is the plugin. You have to have Photoshop, or you should have Photoshop installed. You can also just install the plugin for free. You're going to work through the light adjustment here. I have these grids on. I think if I do command, no, that doesn't work. I have to go through the window to figure out how to turn the grid off, but I'm not going to worry about that now. But you want to select the image that you chose to work with, work through the light panel. You can also click and drag on the histogram to control the contents of the image. These little areas on the left and right are your clipping dialog boxes. We'll look at those a little bit more, but basically you don't want, too bright or too dark, or the areas will show as clipped. Okay. So be careful of that. And you move through the lightness panel. The workflow in Adobe Camera Raw is you can work through all the panels if you're not going into Photoshop, and then just use, or you can do most of your corrections in Adobe Camera Raw and then move into Photoshop to do your special effects, collaging, high-end retouching, that kind of thing. So you're going to learn about the lightness panel, which controls the histogram in terms of its tone. And then the color panel controls the color temperature. We'll learn more about that, but how warm the image is. And you can use these white balance presets here, or you can modify the temperature with the sliders. Special effects, we don't go into too much. Texture and clarity are a form of sharpness. So you want to zoom in when you perform texture and clarity, and you want to usually choose one or the other, or do a little bit of both, not too much. Dehaze is really for if it's a polluted day, you can use the dehaze tool to kind of clarify the image, but you never use all three of these. Effects is a special effect to add a vignette here, and you can modify how the vignette looks here. You can also add grain. We're not going to cover curves. That's an advanced feature. Color mixing and color grading we'll cover a little bit later. Sharpening is something that you need to do to your raw file. And there's a little bit of sharpening added here from the engineer's point of view, but you do want to zoom in to 100% and sharpen the image. And you don't have to do final sharpening here. That can be done in Photoshop, but I'd say at least 40 to 50 sharpening and leave the default here. There's a lot more to explore, but I basically want to show you, and you'll see that in the basic video. But the one thing I want to talk about is smart objects. So when you're ready to go into Photoshop, you can open the image as a smart object, but into Photoshop, you need to click on this tiny little link below here, right? And turn on this option, open Photoshop as a smart object. And there's lots of other options here to up sample or down sample, but you want to open Photoshop as a smart object. I'm going to open it into Pro Photo RGB color space. That's the largest color space for a raw file. So when I hit done, and when I can hit done, and then I can open the image as a smart object. So open with Adobe Photoshop into a smart object, open in Camera Raw. It should give me the option here down below. It should say open as a smart object into Photoshop, but I'm not seeing that. It's only showing me the done panel. You should see the open as a smart object into Photoshop. If you're not, you can hit done and you can say open with Adobe Photoshop. I'm just not sure it will come in as a smart object. It should. Yes. Okay. Now I have the open as an object here. That's odd. Anyway, open as the object. And we are now in Photoshop, and you see that this little icon here shows us that it's a smart object. And a smart object you can convert it to a smart object later, but it's not the same thing. The smart object right out of Adobe Camera Raw allows you to double click on that layer and go back and make further changes. So this is really important, and this is why you should always choose open as a smart object from into Photoshop.